Welcome to the Sweat Simple podcast. I'm Brooks, and I'm an online fitness, nutrition, and mindset coach who's here to help you learn how to eat and exercise for real life, not just those perfect moments. Because let's be real, there is a lot of conflicting information online, and it can be hard to know what's legit and who to trust. In every episode, I'll be sharing the science and psychology behind health, fitness, and long-lasting behavior change, but I'll also be sharing practical, real-life application because all of the best info in the world only matters if you can apply it to your real life. So grab a coffee, water, glass of wine, or lace up your walking shoes, and let's dive in. Hello, you guys, and welcome back to the Sweat Simple podcast, and Happy New Year. Happy 2026. As a type A planning girl, I love that this came on a Thursday, that January 1st came on a Thursday, which is a podcast release day. So this is truly perfect timing because today we're talking all about why January 1st is not just another day. I am super passionate about this because, and honestly, I used to be one of those coaches, but I see it everywhere on my feed this time of year, whether it's today on January 1st, whether it's, later on in January. Honestly, it starts in December and it just travels through the rest of the year when coaches are like, January 1st is like just another day. Don't wait for the new year to start with your goals. Like, we shouldn't be starting over come January 1st. New Year's resolutions like always fail because of X, Y, and Z. And it's just really, really negative. And it's also not based in the research. I don't support that. Again, I used to be a coach who was like, we don't need to start on January 1st. Like, we should be starting now. But there's actually something really powerful about starting on the new year. So I want to take the opportunity to share why this time of year actually is a very powerful time of year to start your health and fitness goals and how we can actually harness this motivation as opposed to almost like shaming you for wanting to start a New Year's resolution, for like wanting to get back into things. And all that to be said, though, January 1st is very similar to January 3rd. So if you're sitting here like I'm not quite in the mode where I want to go all in on my health and fitness goals, this principle really applies just to the start of the year. It's not today only. So if you decide you want to go all in on your health and fitness goals next week or the week after, you can apply this too. You can still harness that same motivation. So a lot of coaches, like I said, really fall into that idea of New Year's resolutions always fail. It's because we're like starting on January 1st and we just assume we're going to keep up motivation through the whole year. We shouldn't just rely on this motivation because it's going to fade. And yeah, motivation from that we get from the start of the year, it's not going to carry us all year long. You've probably seen this in years past where, your motivation dips come mid-February or you give up because you realize that life hasn't changed all that much. And we absolutely need to address that. And that's what I do with my one-on-one coaching clients. I help you follow through rather than just set these goals and get excited for them. But at the same time, we can't completely dismiss the extra boost of motivation and the extra importance of New Year's Day. There is a reason that this time of year feels like a fresh start, why you are more motivated, why you're ready and excited to set these goals. And it's because January 1st is what we call a temporal landmark. So this is basically a moment in time that creates a mental separation between your old you and your new year. Or your new you. So this could be things like birthdays, moving, getting a new job. You probably feel some of this on Mondays at the start of a new month. And the new year, though, is when we tend to feel this most. And I'm sure many of you, if you haven't experienced this in the new year, you probably have experienced it to some degree. If you've ever gotten that urge to wait until Monday to start over, or you always have more motivation at the start of the week, or you want to lock in at the start of the new month and you love setting those new month goals. We've probably all experienced this to some degree. I also feel this way sometimes. That start of the year feels like a fresh start. It feels like a line in the sand. That is very real. in our brains. That motivation is real. These temporal landmarks give us that clean slate effect. And they really, honestly, help us feel like this time is going to be different. All those mistakes, all those habits that, we've had in the past, those aren't going to be an issue anymore. You feel more capable of change. And that is the biggest thing that we need to harness. You feel more capable of change. You're more optimistic. You're more willing to start more new goals. You're more motivated. This is science. So instead of dismissing it and saying, don't set a New Year's goal, or we should be doing this in December, we need to harness this motivation. We need to harness the fact that you're feeling more capable. And we need to harness the fact that you're more excited. You're not as hesitant because you're not as worried about those like old habits and those old behaviors. And we really need to take advantage of this instead of ignoring it. So what we could do instead of just pretending that this isn't a thing is use this time to set actionable goals. So we want to harness this motivation, but we want to do it in a really smart way. So there absolutely is a reason why your motivation tends to fade. Why, if you get really motivated on Monday, by Thursday, you're falling off track and you're falling back into old habits. Why you set these goals on March 1st, and by March 17th, you haven't made any progress. There's reasons for that, and we will absolutely get into why that is and how to change that. I actually have a podcast episode dropping next week that is all about how to set goals you'll actually stick to this time of year. But that's what we want to take this period of time to do. This period of time is not about completely changing our life. That's not what we need to harness with this motivation. What we need to harness with this motivation is planning. We need to set those actionable goals. Really think about, what do I want my values to be this year? What is important to me from a health and fitness standpoint? What do I want my life to look like a year from now? Harness that motivation, harness that feeling of like, yeah, I can do it, and use this time to start to build some momentum. The motivation might drop. The desire to do these things might decrease. Your belief in your ability to follow through on these things might lessen a little bit in a week. But the core thing is to take advantage of this increased momentum right now and really build momentum. Because the more quote unquote reps that we can get in with our new health and fitness behaviors, with these new goals that you just set, the more confidence you're going to build, the more motivated you're going to feel, and the easier these things are actually going to feel to stick to all year long. So instead of ignoring this period of time, use it to build momentum. Get as many reps in as you can practicing these new behaviors. Build up that self-confidence. Continue to feel more confident in your ability to do these things. All of that is going to continue to build your motivation, and this is going to feel a lot different. So like I said, next week, I've got a podcast episode that is dropping all about how to build habits and goals that you'll stick to this year in a very different way than you ever have before. But that is the main mindset I want you to keep for January 1st. I want you to keep that mindset of, I am building momentum. I'm taking advantage of this time period. This time period does feel really different. I feel more motivated. I feel more excited. I feel less worried about my ability to do these things. Take advantage of that and really keep that up long term. So the main reason that we're falling off on New Year's resolution isn't because of when we started. It is because of all of the things that we are going to talk about in next week's podcast episode. So don't let all of those coaches who are telling you that there's no point, we shouldn't only think about our health and fitness goals at the start of the year, don't let them scare you away from taking advantage of this really, really very real motivation period in time. So be on the lookout for next week's podcast episode. We are chatting through all to set New Year's resolutions you will actually stick to. But just remember, this is not just another day. We do not need to ignore it. Use this extra bit of motivation to build some momentum in the next week. That's all I've got for you guys. Don't forget, I choose one person every single month to win a free personalized fat loss blueprint with me. In order to be eligible to win, all you have to do is share this episode on your stories and tag me or leave a review. I'm so excited to be chatting all about goals next week. It's going to be a juicy episode. This was a little preview to get you going. I hope you guys all have a great rest of your holiday, and I'll talk to you so soon.